Can we please move forward? So even as a speaker, you feel good. If you can just move forward. He's not going to bite anybody, I promise you. Or throw a ball. It always takes ladies a long time to settle down, eh? It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Aasif Karim to our JOS event. My pride and honor for introducing him is that he is our own Mombasa boy, and we were neighbors. We used to go to school together. Aasif comes from a family well known in the sporting world. The Karim family has continued the legacy of being the best sportsman. His father, late Yusuf Karim, holds a Guinness record for being the longest single tennis champion. Aasif, following the footsteps of his father, became the tennis champion and in Kenya and captain and represented Kenya in cricket. If I remember correctly, Aasif Bhai's one of his biggest achievements is when he was playing Australia and he was chosen the best player. People say that the credit goes to Aasif, but I don't think so. I think the credit goes to the mother, and we are very privileged to have Aasif's mother today here. Please give her a round of applause to Mrs. Nargis Karim. To continue the legacy, Aasif's son Irfan also is flying the Karim flag high in sports. Not only in sports, but Aasif has also excelled in the business world. He is one of the leading insurance broker in our country. But all said and done, Aasif is a Ali Bhai Panju boy. And Ali Bhai Panju, we produce the best, yeah? So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Aasif Karim.
Your telephone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for that warm welcome, and humbled by your introduction and the compliments that came with it. I finished my primary school in 1976 at this very school, which is 40 years ago. And this is the first time I am coming back formally to visit this institution that has guided me and taken me to places and to where I am today. This institution set a strong foundation, like it has done for many, many students over the years. This institution, I think, is over 100 years. Ali Bhai Panju Jeffrey Primary School was known then. I think it was initiated sometimes in the 1920s. I wish to acknowledge this institution today and thank all the teachers and all those who supported us when we were youngsters in what was then a white shirt and a khaki shorts, for those who remember. And I would like to request you all to join me in giving them a loud round of applause. Thank you very much. My late father, Yusuf Karim, was an icon in the sports world of Kenya. And I'm so happy to see Mr. Anwar Versi here today, who used to cover in the media, was a prominent writer for Daily Nation, and he covered many of his events and did what I call a signature article in 1977 when he retired. So thank you very much. A lot of people have given credit to my father, who was really an icon in the colonial days, in the British time, went on to win 25 years of tennis championship, which was mentioned by Nilam. And I was then blessed due to the encouragement received by him and my mom. My brothers followed the same way, and a lot of credit goes to my father as is known in the public. But I will second what Neelam said about my mom. She really was the background and made it all happen. At the background, she was not a lady who wanted glamour or was in the front. She was always at the background, and I call her the unsung hero of our family. I think she is the one. That's my mother there. It's the first time in many of the speeches that I do give, and it's the very first time in this very platform where she used to make sure that we go to the school in the nice white shirt, khaki shorts, nicely combed hair, looking fresh, and she is here with us today, and I would like to publicly thank her, to tell her that whatever I am today, whatever the family has achieved, she is really the star. I will be very happy to say that I love you, Mom. Thank you very much. And I would again request you all to please give her a huge and a loud round of applause. May God bless you with good health and to continue praying for us, and may you have a long life. I also wish to take this opportunity to thank my wife, Nazneen, and my children for their continued support after I got married. Unfortunately, they could not come for this function today, but I am sure that they are following us on live streaming. To them, I say thank you very much for your continued support, and it's very unconditional. Hassan. Today's topic is about a world shaped by sports. This subject could not have come at a better time, especially when the turmoil going on in the world all over and various opportunities that are available through sports. Going by the different group of people that are in this hall, I will break down this subject in three folds. First, I will talk the value of sports and its effect in our society. I will then talk about sports in Kenya in the last 50 years since independence. I will then speak about sports as a profession. And then, of course, as per the program, there's going to be a Q&A. So if there are any questions anybody wishes to ask me about my subject or any other subject that I may not have covered, and if I can answer them, I'll be more than happy to do it. The first subject is the value of sports and its effects in the society. In my experience over the years, there are at least three events that unite and bring people together irrespective of their skin, their color, or religion, or creed. That is sports, music, and arts. The top on the list is definitely sports. For most of us who follow any of these activities around the globe will not and agree with me that it does not matter what color, religion one belongs to. As we are focused on sports today, you will appreciate the role and the influence sportsmen and sportswomen play in the society. Until recently, most of the black sportsmen or Indian sportsmen have been undermined. The influence that sportsmen such as Tiger Woods, Usain Bolt, Sachin Tendulkar, our own Kenyan David Rudisha, or Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the Williams sisters in tennis, have made a great impact to the sports world and to the society in general. When India plays cricket, and I'm sure there are many friends sitting here who are Indian fans, When Indian cricket team is playing, it is irrelevant who is playing in the team, or from which state he is in, or from which religion he is from. As long as he is playing cricket for India, the entire Indian nation and the diaspora, Indian diaspora who follow cricket, are totally supporting India cricket to win. Do we agree with that? In Kenya, when we watch on television our superstar athletes who win the marathon, and when you see that hand go up at the end of the tape, it does not matter which tribe they come from. It's Kenya who has won. These are some of the examples that give evidence on how sports can unite one another and improve a greater understanding with one another. One of my experiences as a captain of the Kenya team was quite unique as far as cricket was concerned. Cricket is a team sport where everybody's contribution is important for the success of the team. The Kenya cricket team comprised of Asians and Africans. In the Asians, we had Hindus and Muslims. In the Africans, we had different tribes. And top it all, we had players who are educated, and there were some who are uneducated, unfortunately. This was what I call a real cocktail. To lead such a team with such a combination needed a great understanding by and within the team. And this was achieved with the results that Kenya cricket produced in the years in the 90s and the early 2000s. 3 years ago, the world lost an icon, the South African President Nelson Mandela. This inspiring leader was a great believer and supporter of sports. He strongly believed that sports united people irrespective of color, creed, or religion. For those who remember, this was about 22 years ago, when there was immense tension in South Africa, when the South Africans got their independence, was I think in 1994. And there was huge tension in the country where people were worried that there is going to be riots, or there's going to be civil war, or there was going to be anarchy, and there was a lot of panic. This great icon wore the famous rugby t-shirt, if those who can remember, and he walked into the stadium when South Africa was hosting the World Cup rugby. South Africa won that World Cup rugby, and that gesture united the country immediately, and that confirms what he said and what he believed in. He practiced what he preached. This, I think, is a lesson whose principal world leaders, including leaders in our society, be it the school, be it the community, we need to emulate and follow by promoting sports at all levels. I will now speak on sports in Kenya in the last 50 years since independence. The Kenyan sportsmen and sportswomen over the last 50 years have done proud to themselves and the country at global level. However, sadly so, currently, other than the athletics and to an extent rugby, the rest of our sports standards have gone low. At one time, Kenya hockey did us proud in the Olympics in the late 60s and the 70s. And I think at one stage, we finished 4th in the Olympics. Cricket, we have played 5 World Cups from 1996 to 2011. Unfortunately, with poor, or rather I would say incompetent administration, nepotism, lack of seriousness on our development programs for the youths, the lack of money, among other issues, our standards at international level and being competitive at that top level has dropped. This is indeed very sad and a disservice to our budding youngsters and sportsmen and sportswomen. At this opportunity, I would like to strongly appeal to the Jubilee government to take the sports with the seriousness it deserves. Currently, we have a Ministry of Sports, a Ministry of Culture, Heritage, and then we have a small word that has been fitted in called sports. How can a talented sports country like Kenya, that has produced world-class sportsmen and women in the last 50 years, do not have a Ministry of Sports on its own? If you look at the other African countries that are strongly powerful in sports, and of course the leading country is South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, they all have a Ministry of Sports with a very competent cabinet secretary who knows the value and appreciates the sportsmen and sportswomen do for their country. This, I think, must change here. I appeal to all the parents and for those who can lobby at the government level for Kenya to have a Ministry of Sports on its own with a significant budget and provide a competent cabinet secretary. With good development structures, which unfortunately are lacking, if those are put in place, having a good competitive sports competitions and environment, and now with the devolution, with the 2010 Constitution, and with the 47 counties we have, I see no reason why Kenya cannot produce consistently the Ronaldos, the Messis, the Tiger Woods, the Sachin Tendulkars, the Hussein Bolts, or the David Rudishas. I hope that this appeal, which is now being live streamed as we are in this program, that it is heard at the right quarters. But I appeal once again to the institution and to the parents to see if they can lobby that we can do a good service to our youngsters who deserve to get the best. I will now talk on sports as a profession, and this is something that I would request all the parents and the children and the teachers to give it a serious thought on what I am going to present now. Sports in this day and age needs to be taken very seriously by parents and children, especially with the opportunities for careers and a good financial rewards along with it. This is something that most parents cannot or may be very slow in accepting or promoting their children to take sports as a profession. Let me remind and refresh most parents of my age or above. During our childhood, most of our parents had limited or no education. Most ended up with a job or joined the family business. It was unheard of or very rare for parents to send their children for university studies in the 60s and the 70s. This started changing in the late 70s and 80s, where almost all parents made every effort, from savings, from loans, to give their children an opportunity to earn a degree in a university, to make a career in the field like pharmacy, doctors, accountants, opticians, and architects. The children were not compelled to join the family business or what we call the Dukawala business. The parents and students must now also consider sports as a career. The Western countries, and now the Far East countries like China, are heavily investing in promoting sports in the form of sports academies and promotion of sports in school. There are several opportunities in sports career. A professional sports player, coaching, trainer, a sports psychologist, sports management, sports agent, a physiotherapist, and many other related fields in sports. If you do your research well, you will realize that all these professions earn a very good living. I am sure most of you who follow international sports will agree on the opportunities and the financial rewards these sportsmen have made. To give you an example, the Wimbledon tennis in the 60s would earn a winner a very nice trophy and maybe 500 to 1,000 pounds. That was the winning prize in those days. Just 50 years down the road, the winner gets over 2 million pounds. Just 50 years down the road, 2 million pounds with several endorsements to earn extra income from sponsorships, from racket equipment to clothing and related issues. All of the major sports events like golf, football, basketball, all are in the same category. There are several universities in the United States of America, in the United Kingdom, in South Africa, and other countries that offer a sports as a degree in different sports fields. Some of these universities also offer sports scholarships that can greatly help the parents and students ease the pressure financially. I am a living example. Due to having done well in tennis and from the encouragement from my parents, my elder brother Arif and myself received a 4-year tennis scholarship in the United States, where we managed to educate ourselves and play top-level tennis through this sports scholarship. However, as a caution to the students, playing sports or getting a scholarship is only possible with good grades. So if there is any big sportsmen students here who are doing well, and I was recently told that there is a sister and brother, Shikeli, who broke the national record, and I wish to acknowledge the performance, and those are prime candidates who can look at how they can get a scholarship. But it is very important that your grades, your studies are balanced equally. For you to maintain your scholarship, there are two things that must be done. One, you must be good enough to make it into the university team. And secondly, you must have enough grades to sustain yourself in the class. If you do not have reasonable grades, and I'm sure what I'm talking right now is music to the teachers, because they must be emphasizing a lot to the students on their grades, you cannot enjoy the scholarship. But there are great opportunities, and I think with the program, the sports program that I'm told that you have here, and the talent that is available, I think it is the duty of the students, the parents, and the institution to nurture this further. My son Irfan, who recently graduated from Loughborough University, UK, played varsity cricket and was also on a scholarship. I am willing and happy to come back one day where we can have an in-depth discussion and dialogue for all those interested parents and students who wish to discuss more on sports scholarship and education to mix with your achievements in sports. As I conclude my message, I wish to thank the school, and in particular the JAWS team. You know, when I hear the word JAWS, it takes me to you know where. But I wish to thank them, in particular Nilam and Mubina, for having invited me and giving me this honor. On behalf of my family, I would like to pledge a 50,000 shillings pledge today towards sports equipment and towards the promotion of sports in the Jaffrey Institute. At the same time, Safina's Foundation, which is in honor of my parents and my wife's parents, where the primary purpose is to promote sports, education, including social needs. The foundation can consider promoting or supporting or sponsoring a talented sportsman or a sportswoman from this institution by form of equipment or any related issues towards their further progress in sports. Finally, to all the students, I say please ensure that you maintain your balance of your studies and sports for you to progress in life. And as Martin Luther King said, it is better to dream and not achieve it than to have no dream. Dream big, as I did. And if this student of Alibai Panju Jaffrey Primary School, born in the old town of Mombasa, can play in the World Cup, anything and everything is possible. God bless you. God bless the Jaffrey Institute. God bless Kenya. Thank you very much. I think the program says there is a Q&A. So the floor is open for any questions, comments on what I have gone through or any other areas that you would like me to speak about.
Thank you, Mr. Aasif Karim. That was a really convivial talk. Now we will be having the question and answer time. Should we start with the men or the ladies? I think they say ladies first, so we're going to start with the ladies.
What made you choose your sports career, and how did the society react to this?
The sports career came by default. My father and the Karim family everything was sports. From the morning you woke up till the time you went to sleep, sports featured on our daily lives. That was one. Second, this institution played a very important role. We had good sports programs in those days, and I had a nostalgic feeling when Neelam took me around the school the other day, and I went straight to the ground. Do you remember? And I started telling her, look, this is where we played cricket, and this is where we did all that. So this institution also played a very important role. And finally, the Jaffrey Sports Club. And that's where we were after 3:30 when the school went off. I mostly used to go from here and walk to the club because that was a passion built in me. And I think I have no reason to complain. I am what I am today 100% because of sports. It has taken me to the world. I've been respected because of sports. I have seen the world because of sports. I've been recognized because of sports. So sports is something that I owe all the way.
Anybody else with a question? Feel free.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Now, actually, we have a situation whereby a student is a poor performer, but very good in sports. So what would you advise such a student?
I think that's a very good question. There are many youngsters that I have come across who are brilliant sportsmen or sportswomen, but they lack in what my brother just said in terms of their education, and that's a concern. My advice first is the teachers and the parents to play a role in that by encouraging the student to make him feel the importance of education. Because without education, even if you are the top sportsman, let me give you an example. Making money is difficult. But do you know what is much more difficult? Maintaining money. How many cases we have seen people who made a lot of money, but they don't know how to maintain money. And I'll give you a classic example. You must have heard of Mike Tyson, the famous boxer, right? He made a fortune. He made billions of dollars. But where is he now? So when you make money, it's definitely a difficult task, but maintaining, and I'm sure in our day-to-day lives also, when we get the money in our pocket, but there's some itchiness comes in, and the money doesn't stay for long. So maintaining money is difficult. So what am I trying to say? Is education will help you learn how those things are to be done. And I think the students need to be motivated and to be inculcated in their mind all the time that if you want to move ahead in sports, especially if you want to go to university, your grades and education must be put in place.
Now that's where the problem is. You know, the issue is there are certain kids, their interest in education, you try whatever you want to try, but they still they put in the effort, but nothing just seems to work out.
So where do you think is the problem?
That's what I'm asking.
Is it, no, how would I be able to answer that? Is it the student who is the problem? Or are parents the problem? Or is his environment at home a problem? You know, there's so many different things that needs to be looked at. But I think it's, again, as I say, it's the responsibility of the parents first, the responsibility of the teachers, and equal responsibility of the athlete himself. Because he has seen cases of how people can progress in sports with education. Now, of course, there are always exceptions. There are a few top athletes in the world who have never gone to school or have done very basic schoolwork. But those are one in a million. And I don't think we need to even discuss on those lines for the students. So I think, as I said again, and to repeat myself, I think it's very important that the student himself takes the importance of this matter, along with their parents and the teacher.
How do you balance your sports career and your business profession at the same time?
An excellent question. This is one question that I have been asked many a times, because I do so many things that sometimes I ask myself, how do I do it? And I think it boils down to, in a simple language, when you are passionate about something, in anything that you do, when you are passionate, people say, oh, but you do so good, or this one is doing good, or somebody is cooking very well. You know, you get those compliments, or this one is writing very well, or he is doing this thing very well. I think the key ingredient is being passionate about what you do. If you are passionate about what you do, you will make sure that you are the best. And I always tell, even in my office, if you are the secretary, be the best secretary, so that everybody who talks about who is the best secretary in Nairobi, your name should come. If you are a tea maker, be passionate about what you are doing, so that when somebody talks about who is the best tea maker, go to Aasif Karim's office, you will get the best tea. So the bottom line is, you need to be passionate about what you do. You need to have good time management. It's very important. You need to balance, because it's very easy nowadays to get distracted. And talking about distraction, this is something at times I sympathize with the students. During our days, we had nothing but a minimum television program that started at about 6 o'clock in the evening and I think finished at about 11. There would be a national anthem at 6, national anthem at 11, black and white color TV, and that was it. Then we used to look forward to Sunday's program, and there used to be a program called Three Stooges. I don't know for those who remember Three Stooges. You know, it was a lot of fun for us in those days. And that was our entertainment. The entertainment now you have, I can see all the youngsters holding a mobile. Most of them are already on Facebook, or are on WhatsApp, or on Viber. So there are so many distractions. I am not saying that the social media is bad. It's a necessity now in the world that we live in. But it is very important that you manage it. It is very easy to get distracted. I mean, I have seen a photograph, and I'm sure you have seen, there's a family sitting in the sitting room, and everybody's looking down. You're talking to the world, but you're not talking to the person next to you. This is a problem I also have, so I'm no better in that. But we all need to revisit our social media involvement, because that, I think, is creating a big disaster for the youngsters. It's the easy way out. PlayStation, the social media. You need to go out there and play. You need to go out there in the sun. Work hard. If you want to reach the level of good level in sports, you have to put time on the field. You cannot be a good cricket player or a football player on a PlayStation. You might be very good on that screen, but that's not going to take you out there. So my appeal to the youngsters and students, please revisit your social media involvement. Again, I said it's important, but try and restrict on the same. I hope I have answered your question.
I have a second one.
There was a question. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Have, like, at some point, when you've worked hard but you don't achieve your goal, have your parents like discouraged you, or has anyone discouraged you, like someone close to you, a friend, a family member?
Again, a good point. You know, a lot of people, the children nowadays get upset when the parents tell them something. Again, my mom is here. She can verify. Those days, again, you know, we have this typical thing in my days, you know, in those days, if my father only looked at me, only looked, the whole book was written. Or if my mom looked at me with her eyes, you better get the message. Unfortunately, now the kids give the looks to the parents. So I call myself, or our generation, a sandwich generation. We are in the middle. We were given eyes from our parents, and now we are getting eyes from our children. Am I right? The parents agree? Now, let's go to your point. You said that when you get told off, or you are told that you're not doing a good job, is that what you're saying?
Like you've been working hard. Let's say okay, let me give an example from swimming. Let's say you've been working really hard and there's a gala coming up, and you've been, your progression has been positive, and you mess up in the gala, and your parent shouts at you. Have you experienced that?
Again, very good. Fortunately, I never did. Because my father was a sportsman at the highest level. He knew the intricacies and the psychology of a sportsman. There is no sportsman who doesn't want to give their best. They would like to give their best. So I never experienced that. But my caution to those parents is that while you are meaning well to your children in pushing them, don't push them so high that, you know, when you even stretch a rubber band, it will break. So be a motivating father or mother. Encourage your child. Your child has enough pressures around with what we go through nowadays, whether it's the education, whether it's the peer pressure, or whether it's the sports that she's talking about. So there is enough pressure. So the parents need to compliment and support. It doesn't mean pamper them. I'm not saying to pamper them, but need to push them to such a level that you still maintain them so that they do not break. Is that a message for somebody? Okay, I hope whoever it is will take that message in a positive spirit.
Okay, I have sons who are very passionate about cricket. They're not here today, they've gone for a conference, so they sent me here, Mom, you have to come and listen to the speaker.
Okay.
So on behalf of them, I would like to ask you, could you share some light about your cricket coach?
My
The one-
cricket coach?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, from where? From primary school or to national level?
Any.
Coaches are like parents. They must be respected. They must be looked up to. A, because they have enough experience. They are more qualified. They are there to help you. And it's the same thing when a coach pushes you. He's pushing you because his expectations of you are at a certain level. I always tell my staff, or I tell my children, that my expectations of you are here, realistically. Why are you putting yourself here? Why are you asking me to come down? If your expectations and your potential are here, why don't you uplift yourself? So coaches, parents, they want the best for them, for their children or their sportsmen. Of course, there are different kinds of coaches that you get. They are what we call dictatorial coaches. There are some democratic coaches, but you get all types of coaches. It depends on their upbringing, on how they have played their sports. So a coach is somebody that you need to work with, not fight with, because you need to be on the same side of the page. If you are on the same side of the page, then it becomes even an easier task. And the key and successful coaches are coaches that have good communication skills and have a good psychology, because you are going to play with the mind of the youngster. You must be able to get the best out of it in a very positive way. And fortunately, with most of the coaches I had in tennis in America, or cricket at the international level that we played, of course there were some differences, which is bound to happen. We have differences with our parents, but you come to a middle ground on certain issues. So there were differences, but I have to thank them for wherever I have reached, whether it's tennis or the cricket team that we did. So the coaches have played a very, very crucial and a very important role.
Asif bhai, if one question,
So,
you've studied in Howard University. Howard and Yale being like Oxford and Cambridge of the UK, very difficult universities to get into. What helped? Was it just the grades, or was it a combination of the sports and the grades?
very good question again. When you play good sports and the college needs you, it will make all its efforts to bring you and to recruit you in. A, by giving you a scholarship, and in certain cases, turn a blind eye. Acceptable grades is the word I will use. Acceptable grades. And so if your sports skills are good, the universities will definitely want you.
And you mentioned that your whole day would be spent, I'm assuming the whole day, talking about cricket, sports, discussing sports at home. I have a big dilemma at home right now, because we wake up in the morning and the first thing is switch on the phone and see what Man United did. And it doesn't go down very well with me, because I'm thinking, now you're going to school, you should be in the school mode. And maybe I should actually sit down with your mother and ask her how she coped, because as a parent, you're being pushed at the school, at the academics, at the sports section because of the sports. Your child is good in both. Am I wrong as a parent to say, let's switch sports off? You know, because it's sports everywhere. There's sports on the TV, there's sports on the phone, there's sports in the kitchen, there's a football in the kitchen. It's now, you've said that you had sports all day. Am I wrong as a parent in
I'll have to answer this very diplomatically because I'll be held to ransom if I don't answer it correctly. The first thing is that, as I said earlier, when we were in school, we had no telephones. There was no exposure of how you even get your results. We would wait for the Daily Nation 2 days later to know what Manchester United did against Arsenal. The only information, if you are really a die-hard fan, was to go to BBC Radio. Am I right in saying that was the only information you could get in those days? Now, my delicate question to you is, who got the youngster the telephone? Oh, it gets to your phone. Put up. You have. It still gets through. How are you doing? Okay. They know the password. Yeah. Now, I do understand what you're saying. You can't fight it at the moment. So again, as I said earlier, we need to have a good understanding with our children. As I said, unlike before, there was no understanding. The eye was enough to tell you everything. Now with our youngsters, we must have better dialogue. We must have better communication. In fact, it's difficult even now to discuss with them because the moment they finish dinner, and I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of most parents, the children want to go straight into their room to catch up on their social media. The communication is reduced. It's a worrying factor. I don't have the answer for it exactly. I don't know what is the answer, but my only appeal to the youngsters that are here and to the ones who are listening, that your parents are in a difficult position. Don't make it more difficult. Have better dialogues, have better understanding, and learn to appreciate while they're around. It will be too late then. Yes, very much so. No, it didn't, because as I said, I was committed to what I was doing. I wasn't an A student. I still have my reports, by the way, of Oliver Panju Jaffrey Primary School. I have still kept them 40 years down the road. And I looked at that last week before I was coming here, and I said, okay, my grades were decent. Don't ask me what they were. But they were good enough. So again, as I said, if you are passionate about something, you need to do time management. Time management is very key to anything that you want to do well. If you're doing 10 things, it's like a pie chart. Put it on a pie chart and give yourself time for your free time, for your spiritual upliftment, for your education, for your sports. So there are so many things that one can look into. But it's the responsibility of the parents and the child to support in trying to have a good balance. Again, as I said, I had a plus point because my father already had the name in Mombasa. As I said, he was an icon. Versi will agree with that. He was a huge name in Mombasa. Of course, my mom supported him because without her support, and I always say, if the ladies don't support their husband, we are doomed. So the ladies are what I call the unsung heroes of the families. So she supported with all difficult conditions. And so obviously, as I said, we were instilled into it, and they continued supporting us all the way. I remember even as youngsters, my brother and myself are the only ones going by bus. In those days was RVP, I think, and MPPS or Coast Bus. We used to go and play junior tennis by bus. Money was tough. She's here. It was very tough conditions. But they looked for every coin. They scratched themselves to support what their children want. And like all the parents do right now for their children. So it's important that the children reciprocate by understanding what the parents go through and needs a better understanding all around. I don't think I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. And I'm talking to all the parents who go through this situation. So if a kid is interested in sports, I strongly recommend that you support him. But of course, with some constraints and some rules and regulations, like would be in any other place. And if the rules are not followed, then there is a reprimand.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aasif.
Thank you very much.
I think we had enough questions for the day. Allah wants us all to have sound bodies as well as sound minds and sound morals. The Prophet Muhammad